Is joy something that you're chasing or something that you're choosing today? I had the privilege to sit down with Katy of Awaken Athletics, and the most impactful part of her story is the difference that choosing joy every day has made in her life and how she's impacting women all around her. She runs an in-home all-women's athletics studio in Winlock, Washington, and is absolutely living in her purpose. Enjoy the episode. So you have been running Awaken Athletics for 5 years. I want to talk a little bit about you're passionate about fitness. When you were growing up, was fitness always a huge part of your life?
It definitely was. I was always active, but I definitely compared myself to a lot of my friends around me because for some reason I always had like the most athletic friends that were all really great at sports and stuff. So I always saw myself as not athletic, but I tried. I always tried to stay moving. And in high school, I did track, I did cheerleading. Some people argue if that's a sport or not. And I was more drawn to like the individual sports. I think partly because I didn't view myself as this super athletic person. And so I kind of had control over, well, if I'm just doing it by myself, then I'm not affecting anyone else, And so, I was active, but I wasn't a star athlete by any means either.
I love that your gym is an all-women's gym. I just have to say, I love that. I don't think you see that often, but I love that. And I'm sure we'll get into more of the story behind that. But at that point in your life, what did you view was purpose, or what did you see yourself living out your purpose? What did that look like?
Oh gosh, I didn't know. And I think I really, in my younger years, was very caught up in the comparison game and constantly comparing myself to what other people were doing and really based my self-worth off of that. And so I had a lot of friends that were like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to college for. I know my path. And I always felt a little bit lost. Like, oh man, well, I don't really know that. Like, what's wrong with me? I mean, I definitely obviously gradually figured it out over time, but I do feel like I figured it out a lot slower than other people. But now looking back, I'm so thankful for that too.
I still say, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I'm in my 40s, so you're fine. What did you do for work coming out of high school?
So I was definitely always very attracted to service jobs and helping people. At one point, I really thought I was going to be a counselor because I just really liked to help other people, make them feel good. And I actually ended up going to hair school. I did hair for 8 years first.
Wow.
And I loved it for a period of time because, when women come in, you're making them feel really good about themselves.
And you're a counselor.
Yes. And you're seriously at the same time. And so I was feeling that need of helping other people, but I still didn't love it. It wasn't my life's passion at that point. So that was about 8 years. And then in the middle of that is when I found CrossFit. And that's when I started to dabble in working out more and actually having a really just consistent routine with working out. And then that's when it started clicking for me oh, I think fitness is my thing.
What made you feel alive when you were practicing fitness regularly?
Well, back to, struggling with self-confidence. There was something about going in and working out and pushing my body that gave me confidence. It did something mentally, not only physically, but mentally. I just felt awesome when I left the gym. And that, I think, is what really started to turn for me. I was like, okay, well, if I'm feeling this way, I feel like other people obviously are going to feel this way. So that's when I'm like, well, I think I want to start dabbling in coaching and helping other people in that way. So then I started juggling doing hair and coaching at the same time. I got my coaching certificates and then started doing the two. And then eventually I had to choose, okay, which one do I really want to fully invest my time in?
How long into coaching did you feel this is the path that I'm meant to be on? This is far more fulfilling.
I think it was pretty quick. Then it's finding okay, well, I went to hair school for, how long, and I invested all of this time. and energy into doing that. So am I just going to leave that now, or,
Yeah, do you struggle with, oh my gosh, people are going to think, what is she doing now?
Right. And for a while I was wearing all the hats because I was, doing the coaching before doing hair, then I would go do hair, and then I would do the coaching after that. And then I started getting into the nutrition side of it because, nutrition and fitness go together. So then I became a nutrition coach. So then I'm being all these different things. And I just knew that pull for the nutrition and fitness was so much stronger than doing hair that I feel like it naturally over time, you come to that point where you either reach major burnout or you have to choose, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to take the leap and I'm going to do this full time. And it was scary because, you're totally switching gears, but it ended up paying off in the end for sure.
When you were coaching, where were you coaching out of? Someone else's gym?
The relationship I was in at the time, at the very beginning he introduced me to CrossFit, and he was just dabbling in it as well. And so he had kind of a little baby gym at the time. And then we slowly together basically took on that gym and built it up over the course of like 8+ years. And so I pretty much grew my entire fitness career, my clientele, everything in that one gym.
What happened to that gym?
It's actually still alive and well. However, at the time, I had to make a choice when that relationship ended to either stay there, and I just didn't think that was the healthiest choice, or just walk away from it, basically. And, it was tough because my name wasn't on anything legally. Although I gave my heart and soul and everything to that gym, I had to walk away from it. And so I walked away, and, it's one of those things where it was really, really tough at the time. But in hindsight, I was like, that was exactly what was supposed to happen. The gym is still going today, but actually one of my best friends bought it. So another woman that I've competed with and trained alongside for years. So it's in an amazing place now. Super happy for her. But
when you say that was a tough time, but that was meant to happen, what about that experience was tough? And what parts made you feel that leaving wasn't the right choice?
When you give your heart and soul to something for so many years, and I also grew so much in that gym as a person. I learned so many life lessons. I formed so many close relationships. The relationships built within those four walls are irreplaceable. You see most of those people more than you see your own family half the time because it's day in and day out. And so, when you invest your heart and soul into something, but I knew that at that point, like, that relationship was no longer good for me. So I needed to just restart. It turned into something so much better.
But there had to have been fears there as far as going out on your own. At that point, were you looking at, I'm going to start another gym?
Not really. So that kind of ended right around COVID or right before. And so it almost naturally let me kind of go out because all the gyms were shutting down, So a lot of our classes were going virtual. So I did agree to still coach virtual classes. But it gave that separation, where I wasn't going into the gym every day there. And so then I ended up creating a home gym at my new house, just a little home gym. And we live in a pretty small town. The community is small. And there was a few girls who reached out to me, hey, are you doing workouts at your house right now? Like, can I come over and work out with you? And so, oh, sure, so pretty soon 5 girls turned into 10 girls. And then I'm like, okay, I think I need to start monetizing my time here because it felt a little more than just a workout with girlfriends. So
that is huge. Okay, I want to dive into that because a lot of people struggle with transitioning to charging for something, a service they're providing. What advice would you give to the woman that is providing a service like that, but is struggling with monetizing?
Oh yeah, and this is huge because I struggled. I've had to do so much personal work on myself with the whole relationship with money and just really in charging for my time and my services. I think it's tough when you're in a service industry like that because it's really easy to undermine what you're worth and be like, oh, yeah, well, you're my friend, so you can just come work out or work out for, dirt cheap or whatever. And I did that at first. I was letting people come and work out. And I was like, oh, well, this feels kind of unofficial because it's just like at my house. And so I won't charge you that much. And then as time went on, I realized how much energy I was expending doing that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting paid enough for this at all if I'm going to make this a career. Really, when you take a step back and you think about that exchange of time for money and your energy for money, time and your energy is priceless, really. But if you want it to be something that people, number one, respect, value your services for, you have to put a price on it. And you have to put a price on it that you feel comfortable about. You can't think like, oh, well, I don't know, that seems kind of high. I don't want to charge that because I'm afraid they won't come, when deep down that's really what you should charge. And so I've learned to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, what do I feel like I'm worth? And what do I feel at the end of the day, if I'm charging this, I feel like that exchange is enough for me energetically to be able to sustain this business. And so it definitely took trial and error and not charging enough to then evolving it and being able or having to say, okay, we're doing a price increase, which is also, a tough thing, but it was learned over time for sure.
Yeah. I think when you understand the value and the transformation that you're offering, then you have more confidence to charge or raise your prices. So how did you work on your belief system around the value that you provide? Or did you always know there's value in what you were providing?
I think I've always known, but I still always had that little like creeping self-doubt in there of like, I know people want to come work out with me, but like I'm still like not doing as much as like that person over there, or the comparison game of like you just not ever thinking I'm quite as good as the next person or the next trainer. Although I have people knocking at my door constantly asking to come. It's a crazy game we play in our own mind of convincing ourselves that like we aren't, worth whatever that is. So
how many of the women in your gym would be nice to hear that you have those thoughts?
I mean, I think a lot for sure. Like, and the women in my gym are amazing. And honestly, I think that they're a huge reason why I like have the confidence I do today, because my whole thing is no matter what, I'm going to show up for them. I've made this commitment and I've created this space and they're willing to come and show up every day. So I'm here to show up for them. And I think honestly, together, we have built each other's confidence. And that's like what's so beautiful about the gym is that, it works both ways. Although they may see me as the leader and the coach that is always confident, that's not always the case. So
it's not. It's so not. I think anytime that you're in a position to breathe life into other people, they have no idea how much life that their growth breathes back into you.
Absolutely.
So when you say you created this space, did you have a shop at home that was empty, or did you have to build a shop? How did that start?
So we have a shop we created an empty space in the shop. And it was pretty small at the time. So it's not at the house we're at now. But it was pretty small, and I had minimal equipment, but it's amazing what you can do with just a few things. And
yeah, like how much would you say you invested financially in starting this new gym?
I mean, I started with so little, and I think over the course of 5 years, I've had to probably invest in $20,000 to $30,000 just, but it's like incrementally, it's slow, it's little bits, and it's constantly reinvesting back into the business. And if you look at that number as a big whole, it's like, oh, that's a lot of money. But when, I just made the commitment that, okay, I have just a few things right now, but every month I'm just going to, get another thing and I'm going to grow it a little bit more. And so then we moved, and a huge part of that was a bigger shop. And so now I have a much bigger space, gradually adding to it every single month, basically. And with that, more clients come, and if you build it and you provide a positive environment that solves the problem that people are looking for, it will happen for sure.
If you build it, they will come. That's what I thought you were going to say. It's so true. Going back to the comparison, how have you harnessed that thought?
Definitely still have it, but it's much more faint. And I think that I tell this to people like in their workouts, the more that you come and you just put in the work and you show yourself that you can do it, the confidence builds on its own. And I think that's what's happened with me in business, is that I just continue to show up and to see it grown to what it grown to now. And it just continues to expand, and opportunities. I mean, honestly, even this podcast, I have to tell you this side note. One of my 2025 goals at the beginning of the year was, I truly believe that something that I really need to do this year is connect with other women and put myself out there into the world and the community. And I saw that, in speaking and podcasts. And so this is just like a prime example. I'm a big believer in manifesting and just like vocalizing and putting out there what you want. So you reached out to me, and here we
That's
are.
so crazy to me, because I reached out to you because I could see the passion in your content. We have a mutual friend. We were not connected, but I saw you shouting out. I was so inspired by the way you shout out your members, the way you spoke about them. I thought, this woman is very passionate, obviously, about the difference that she's making in these women's lives. That's the woman I want to talk to. I want to hear your story. How awesome that you manifested that into your life.
It's cool. And it's just those little moments that we can easily look past too, that they build confidence in our lives that, okay, I am on the right track, and I am living out my life's passion. And I believe that if we're living in our truth, we get those green lights, and we continue to get those green lights. And if it's not for us, life will show us that for sure. We just have to be in tune to listen to it.
Yeah. How many times in your life have you had red lights, or were you operating or working in a way that did not feel like you were in line with your truth?
So many times. So many times. But I do think that those times are so important as well, because they shape us. I think for me, though, if I'm not living in my truth, I feel really exhausted in a bad way. There's like the good exhausted and the bad exhausted. And it's just that, you're reaching and you just can't, it's not working. And usually there's a reason why it's not working. And so if I ever feel stuck in a place like that, I try to take a step back and be like, okay, why is this not working? Am I forcing it? And usually I'm trying to force something that's just not for me.
And yet when you're living in your truth, how much does it feel like flow?
Oh, it feels so good. And it's not easy necessarily. Like, you're still working hard. You're still getting up and doing all the things, but it feels like you don't have to force it, and you won't have to sit there and search for the answers. It feels like you're living your purpose.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, other than, for me, you're making an impact for others and you're seeing growth in other people. So what about your life is going to help someone else in their path and their journey? And for you, fitness and how you feel about yourself, why is that so important to you that you want to share that with other women?
Again, through my own personal journey, I've just seen, when all of us women are not so different. We all have so many of the same struggles of trying to find our purpose, and we're wearing all the hats of wife, mother, friend, a lot of business owner, whatever it is, and struggle with self-confidence, or yeah, just trying to do it all. And I really wanted to take the lessons that I've learned from that and provide a space for women where they can come in and forget all of it if they need to for an hour or work through it. It's so cool sometimes as an instructor to take a step back because I'll just hear the women having different conversations of they're forming these relationships that are so supportive and so positive just from coming into the gym together for an hour every day. And that's a support system that every woman needs, I believe.
How many women have you seen come into your community that you've built, then go on to transform their lives outside of the gym because of the environment that they've experienced inside your walls?
I mean, I think every single one of them in some way. It's the best thing to watch someone come in on their first day and they're nervous and they're scared and, they're scared of what other people think. And then to come in and be welcome and you just see that confidence grow, that self-worth grow, and then it translates into their everyday lives. It's different for every woman and how that translates, but it does. It has a direct impact. And whether it's in their relationships or their jobs, I feel so blessed to be in that position that they trust me to be vulnerable physically and emotionally when they come into the gym, and I don't take it lightly at all.
Was there a time in your life where you didn't have self-confidence because you weren't investing in your physical fitness?
Oh, yeah. Yes. There was definitely, younger, like high school years, I did, of course, the whole like starvation diet where, you're barely eating nothing just to be skinny. And there was time early 20s where, I was probably drank too much or ate fried food too much, and there's those phases of life where I look back and like, oh gosh, how did I do that? Now I have one margarita and I'm like, ugh.
Life over 40. I don't know if you're over 40. I am over 40. You don't look over 40.
Almost, I'm close.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny how just evolve and think, wow, I used to treat my body that way. And honestly, even there was a time where I was too extreme with my fitness too. It can be the other side as well, where I was obsessing over it. And so I think that is a huge thing too that I can help women with is the extremes. You don't want any of those extremes because any of them can be unhealthy to a degree.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Our purpose isn't just tied to our work. It's not just tied to our physical fitness alone. It's not just tied to our marriage. It's not just tied to our role. There's so many aspects of our purpose in this life, and physical fitness is such an important piece in how you're able to give to others. The more that you give to yourself, the more you're able to give to others. And I think that's something that you learn as you get older, realizing I can't pour from an empty cup. And if I'm not investing back into myself, how can I show up for others in the best way possible? I think that's so key for women to learn that lesson and to do it from a place of honoring your body and respecting your body and loving your body instead of, I hate my body. I don't like the way I look. I want to look differently. It's all about honor and respect, right?
Absolutely. And that's something that I love about fitness and the way that we do things here is because it's actually just respecting your body and praising it for what it can do and what it's capable of. It's not beating it down because you dislike it or you hate a certain part of your body. I try to create a really positive atmosphere of celebrating, like, hey, you just lifted 10 pounds more than you did last week, or, it's celebrating what your body can do versus what it just looks like.
Do you feel you love the counseling aspect that you still get to provide?
For sure. It comes with coaching. You put people in a vulnerable state like that and everything usually spills out. Yeah. But I love it. I do because it connects you with people, and what is life if we don't have that human connection? That's what it's all about. I don't want to go clock in and out. And, I've never been someone that could work for someone else or clock in and out. It's just not in my DNA. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just crave that connection with people and going deeper and having those conversations of like, hey, you're feeling not great today. Why is that? Like, let's dig deeper. Is it your sleep? Is it your routine? Like, and then, we usually unpack all kinds of things, but it's just as rewarding to have those conversations as it is like the workouts as well. So.
Now, you said earlier that you were in the service industry. You did other jobs where you did clock in.
Mm-hmm. I did. Yeah.
I did also. And I'm the same as you. I started out as a waitress and now I think I could never clock in. I could never do that. And obviously it serves a purpose, but compare and contrast work in a way that you don't feel is fulfilling to what you feel is what you do now.
Jobs that I did in the past, I feel like they were just stepping stones and they had their purpose, but they didn't light me up. They didn't give me energy. You're just trying to get by and get through it versus like actually be able to be in it. And then
now, were you raised to know that? Did you see that growing up, that there's a different way?
No, which is funny. I mean, my dad was in sales my entire life and he clocked in and out every single day. My mom did the same. She was stay-at-home mom for most of the time. But yeah, the entrepreneurial side of me, I'm honestly not really sure where that came from, but I've always been that way from a young age. Like even like doing hair, it was like, well, I can run my own business doing this. So I'm going to do that,
Well, you didn't see that. So did you read books? Did you have friends? Was there other families around you?
Yeah, I definitely had friends and family friends that ran their own businesses. And I think I saw that and I saw the freedom that they had with that. I've been asked this question many times, like, oh, well, who's your role model? Like, who did you look up to? And I can't say that there's one in particular person that I was like, oh, like, they created their own business and they got after it. It was kind of just this thing that happened organically in me. I think when I became a trainer, I did, we were kind of part of another bigger gym. So I was still working under someone and I just didn't like to be told what to do. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can do what I love, but I can tell myself what to do and create my own thing, then I'm going to go that route. So.
But you actually work more.
Oh my gosh, way more.
But when you want to.
Yeah, and you're not a business owner, an entrepreneur if you don't question your sanity at least a couple times a week. And I will say with Awaken, there was a period of time in the first couple of years where I didn't fully commit. Like I didn't jump in when I kind of had one foot in, one foot out, thinking like, okay, is this really gonna work? Like, can I make this a full-time thing? What does that even look like? You can get overwhelmed too with like, what does it even look like to like run a gym? And how am I even going to make that happen? And like you were saying earlier, when I just took the little baby steps, I finally just kind of hit this point where I was like, okay, I have to go all in. If this is going to work, like I have to jump in with both feet. And the second that I did that, I mean, it was like took off like wildfire.
What did you change in how you showed up? Just your mindset?
Yeah, I think it was a huge mindset shift. I wrote this down because it's a book that honestly like really changed me. And I'm going to forget the author right now, but it's called High Performance Habits. I don't know if you read it.
Not that one.
Oh, it's so good. And anyone can benefit, but especially like women in business. And it's just those tiny little daily habits, the things we say to ourselves in our own head, showing up daily and with a sense of joy. That's a huge one, is living by the line of bring the joy. So every day when you show up, you're bringing the joy to everyone around you. And because, it can get easy to get stuck in that monotonous day-to-day grind. And you're like, oh, I got to do this again. I have a long day. Am I going to survive? And instead deciding like, no, I'm going to like get up and I'm going to bring the joy to other people and for my own self. And that's something that really shifted for me. And also deciding to be fully present with every person that walks in my gym. And for that hour, like when they come into my gym, that's their hour. I mean, that's a lot of times for women, that's the only hour they make for themselves.
What changed though that made you realize I'm not being fully present? I'm not operating in gratitude in what I have to create here?
I think I found myself some days like just that, like being a little bit grumpy to put it just plainly. Just like, and I think part of that is the overwhelm of business ownership sometimes and being like, oh my gosh, there's like all these things that I want to do. And, because as of right now, I'm a one-man show. I'm the only instructor and I coach 7 to 8 hours of classes a day. And, it's a full schedule and it can feel like a lot sometimes. And I just kind of let the heaviness and the weight of like all of the responsibility of that weigh me down a little bit. And like, because when you own a business, like it's up to you whether you succeed or fail. And sometimes that can be really overwhelming. And two, for me, I think knowing like, okay, I have all these women in here that are depending on me every single day and I need to show up for them. And I think I kind of let that overwhelm me a little bit. And when I decided to change my internal thoughts about it, everything changed.
It's so interesting that how we think about things impacts everything about our lives. How we look at what we're doing for the day, how we look at how we get to show up, the framing that we get to put around what we're doing. How does it feel now knowing that you are showing up? I see that in your content. I would say joy is a word that I saw in your content. I love that you celebrated a woman that was pregnant and how she's showing up. How cool. But how does it feel to show up knowing that you're operating from a place of gratitude? I guess, where did you learn that space? Was there a book? Was there a podcast? Was there an experience that said you need to be operating in gratitude and not overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think I got to a point where I was kind of tired of feeling overwhelmed. I do a lot of work on myself. And just because I have to fill my own cup in order to give to others.
So when you say work on yourself, what does that look like?
I get up every morning and I immediately do a meditation. So I have like several different meditation apps I follow. And it just gives me, it doesn't have to be long. And I am not like perfect at meditating. I don't think there's any perfect way to do it. But for a long time, I stayed away from it because I was like, I don't even know what that looks like. But more and more, I've gotten into that just to give myself that moment before like the busy day starts to calm my mind and feel centered. No phone. I get up and do the meditation. I journal. And I always start my journal off with what I'm grateful for first. And then another book that's actually changed my life in a lot of ways is called The Desire Map. And it's really cool because it's mapping out your goals by how you want to feel in your life, not by just like, oh, I want to achieve. And so I start my day with what I'm grateful for and how do I want to feel today. And those two things are like huge for setting the tone. And then I will get out any other things I need to get out really quick. And then I always try to kind of put myself together because, when you feel good, then you can play good. And so I get up early, but I still try to put myself together, start my day. Even if the whole meditation journal takes 10 minutes, it's better than nothing for me. I like to break up my day with like going for a walk or even just having my own little quiet times spread throughout the day, even if it's 5 minutes, to recenter. And that's when I love to listen to podcasts or audiobooks. And pretty much all the ones I listen to are like self-help, things like your podcast, where it's inspiring me and it's helping me grow as a person and learn.
That's so me too. I'm constantly listening to something that is fueling my brain, causing me to think about things differently, maybe opening up my mind to something new and different, or reminding me of something that I haven't been focusing on.
Yeah, it is. I know sometimes I'm like, okay, I think I'm just gonna like actually go for a walk and not listen to anything.
Have you actually ever done that? It's so hard.
It is because I'm like, I mean, it's definitely in my personality to be, and I think it's a lot of women who are entrepreneurs to be like, you always have to be go learning or, utilizing the most of your time and every hour of your whole day. Another one, another app I use is called Activations. And if you haven't heard of it, you should check it out. Because if you are on a walk or even if you're in the car or anything, it's kind of a little bit opposite of meditation. They talk you through it and it just helps put your mind in like a really positive place or helps you channel your thoughts into like wherever you want them to go, whether it's like positive thinking about money or de-stressing or whatever it is. So I do those a lot too.
Activations?
Yeah.
I'll totally download.
But it's called Superhuman app.
I have seen that. I follow someone online that is part of that. It's interesting how, like I said, how we think about things, how we think about money, and understanding that we have control over reframing those thoughts. And we have subconscious beliefs about money, about ourselves, about the world around us, that it takes intentional thought to rewire those beliefs, but it's absolutely possible. What advice would you give to the woman that's listening that wants to live in joy and gratitude and maybe hasn't started meditation, but wants to go down that path more? What would you tell her?
Just start and then know that it takes that, just like working out, it takes showing up every single day and just committing to the process of it. And even if it's 3 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes, start small, eventually, carve out time. Most women need to like in their calendar, carve out the time. Otherwise it's not going to happen, and commit to that. And, eventually it just becomes a habit. And, accountability is huge too. I even tell my closest friends still like, hey, I've got off track doing these routines and I know I feel my best when I'm doing it. So keep me on track.
That is the most powerful way to create a new habit, is having an accountability partner that you check in with. It's far more impactful than writing a goal down, having a vision board, making a plan. Accountability is the number one way to actually instill that habit. So smart. So as far as your goals, you want to be speaking more. What do you see yourself providing in the world in 2025 and beyond that you haven't already been providing?
My gym is all about connecting with women. And my slogan, I guess you could call it, is like awaken your highest self. And I just want women to connect with their deepest, highest self. Like what makes them feel absolutely 100% like themselves and connected to themselves. And I don't know if you saw me and my friend and business partner now, we've started doing women's retreats. So we've done one a year for the past couple years. And then we've been doing like pop-up events where we're doing yoga and breath work. And it reminded me a lot of you because we're bringing in women and highlighting their business or their talent or whatever it is. So they'll come in and teach or whatever it is that they do. And so outside of the gym, we've really been stepping out and creating these experiences for women where they can connect on a different level in that way. And so, and again, it's all happened in a way where we kind of put the idea out there and then the pieces start to fall into place. And so that's my goal really, is just to continue to connect with other women like you, like women who have businesses and talent that want to connect and share. And, I think when women come together and do that, it's a really, really powerful thing.
I think we get these little ideas. They're like little embers of something that we think, oh, that might be fun, that might be empowering, that might be exciting. And then we talk ourselves out of it. we need that courage to pursue it. And that's my whole goal, is that women hear these stories and hear they had an idea and they went after it and they created something amazing with it. But we all also have those thoughts of, what if it doesn't work? What if it's a waste? What if no one shows up? Like, those all happen for all of us. What is the best advice that you've ever received, either in business or in living in purpose for you?
I think taking messy action. I had a business coach that said, take messy action, and you're going to mess up, you're going to trip up, and you're going to probably feel dumb once in a while, but it's better than not taking action at all. And I think that is something that's probably had the most impact on me, because for a long time I got caught up in like having all the answers and having all my ducks in a row before I took any steps. And once I just started taking the action and creating momentum, it just snowballs from there.
Did you have to grow to understand or accept failure as failure is such a strong word, but did you work on accepting that that's a part of the process and that is what helps you learn what your customer actually needs, what the process are to tweak the process?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we can be so scared of failure and so scared of messing up. And I think it's the fear. For me, it was like, oh, what if they see me fail? And what if they see me, they're going to judge me, I guess is what you're afraid of. I don't know. And I think honestly, in the end, I've realized that people connect to you and they respect you more when you can be like, hey, I messed up, or hey, I failed 10 times to get here, because we all do it. So when we can just do that and accept it and embrace it, it actually connects us more with the people around us.
Gives ourselves more grace in understanding that's just part of the process. And that's when people see us fail and get back up again, it gives them the courage to do the same.
Yes.
So what is one thing that you wish people knew about you or knew better about you?
I think that one thing I hear a lot, I think in the gym, because I've been in the fitness world for a long time. They're like, well, of course, like, you can do that. You're you. I hear that a lot. And I think the one thing I want people to know is I'm exactly like everybody else, and I've had times where I've been really scared and I've failed and I've been unsure, and it might look different for me than someone else, but I'm just like you, and we are all in this together. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's just my desire to connect with other women so that we can truly, truly live our best life.
Absolutely. You get to lend your clients your confidence and strength little by little, and you're building into their future, but you're not taking. The thing I love about what you do is that in that line of work, that in I think any way that we're showing up in the world and empowering other women, it's never taking anything from our own light. It's lighting that flame in somebody else that never takes anything away from you. We all get to grow as people by sharing our struggles, by sharing our strengths, by sharing our journey, by sharing our joy, all of it. We rise. I love the Awaken. What is your quote? I've seen it a couple times.
Awaken your highest self.
Awaken your highest self. Yes, I love that. That's what we do when we share our authentic selves with the people around us. Where, if you are local to, what town do you live in?
The little town of Winlock, which is...
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's basically just south of... have you heard of like Centralia, the Twin Cities?
Yeah.
In Washington. So I'm just south of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can they find you?
You can find me on my website, awakenathletics.com, awaken-athletics.com. And you can connect with me there. I do also offer some virtual training and nutrition coaching in there as well. But yeah, if you're local, you can come in and try a free class. And community is awesome and super welcoming. So
I want to look into your retreats. That sounds amazing.
Yes, if you go on my website, there's a spot where you can check that out as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for spending your day with me. It was so nice to chat with you.
So nice chatting with you. So fun. Thank you.
Katy's story is such a powerful reminder that your purpose isn't found in a clear, straight path. It often takes messy action, growth through failure, and the courage to, no matter how uncertain the journey may seem. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life that you've been playing small, letting fear hold you back from showing up and pursuing what truly lights you up? If today's episode inspired you, I would love for you to share on social media and tag me. And if you're feeling called to connect with Katy or learn more about her retreats and coaching, head to her website at awakenathletics.com. Until next time, remember, let no one clip your wings.